Hey East End, I'm Daniel Foster, Chair of the Trustees and Building Committee at East End United Methodist Church. On behalf of all of the people who have prayerfully and thoughtfully worked on this project, I want to tell you how excited we are to share a substantial update on the proposed plans for East End's rebuilding efforts in wake of the March 3rd tornado that substantially damaged our church building and devastated many parts of our East Nashville community. In this video, different members of our team will provide information on the congregational and denominational approval process for our project, the proposed costs, funding, and nature of our project, proposed construction timelines, and an in-depth look at the most recent proposed building designs for East End's rebuilt Beacon on the Hill. We have such great hope for the good East End UMC can do in our community for the next 100 plus years and are excited to provide a look at what our church home may look like. If you have any questions or need further information, we invite you to reach out to the East End UMC Building Committee directly by emailing us at eastendrebuilding@gmail.com.
I'm Scott Marshall Kimball, pastor of East End United Methodist Church, and I'm here to provide information on the nature of our proposed project and how we are planning to go about funding the project. The first thing I will say is none of what will be presented today are decisions that have been made or even can be made unilaterally. The United Methodist Church's rules stipulate that multiple approvals from United Methodist officials in our district and within the congregation of East End United Methodist Church are needed in order to do any kind of major capital project. If you are a church member of East End UMC, you will have a voice and a vote in this process. Everything that is shared in this video is simply a recommendation from the building committee. And this video is meant to update our congregation as to where we are with the project in this place and time. And everything we share is subject to change. A major recommendation I will share with you now is a recommendation that the building committee wishes it did not have to make. After reviewing the financial and engineering infeasibility of rehabilitating our sanctuary building, it is the solemn recommendation of the building committee, along with our design and construction teams, that the remains of our church building, including the sanctuary, be completely demolished, but only after we have been able to salvage whatever we can from the sanctuary building, including remaining stained glass windows, chandeliers, salvageable millwork, and the communion rail. The reason that this is being recommended is there is really no other workable alternative. The structural damage sustained by our building is significant enough that if we were to attempt to rehabilitate the sanctuary, all but a portion of the west wall of the building would have to be taken down all the way to the foundation, brick by brick, before being rebuilt brick by brick into something that would not wind up looking like or even being a historic structure. Building in this manner would be millions of dollars more expensive than constructing a new building. This is not what we had hoped to do with our project, but we firmly believe that it is the only feasible way the church can move forward. We've obtained a demolition permit from the Metro Historic Zoning Commission, and with the church's approval, will likely be commencing with demolition by the end of this year. Before we do any demolition, we will take some time together as a church and as a community to celebrate, remember, mourn, and honor this wonderful building that has served and blessed so many over the last century. There will be more information on plans to pay tribute to this building to come as information becomes available. While this is disappointing, a new construction project allows for an opportunity to drastically improve the accessibility of our building. This, along with other design features of the proposed building, will be presented in a few minutes. The project the building committee is recommending will have a budget of approximately $11 million. This is a large amount of money that members of the East End community have been working incredibly hard to obtain for this project. Our project currently has three main proposed funding sources. Our first funding source is our insurance payout, which amounts to around $5 million. Our second funding source is the FEMA Private Nonprofit Assistance Program, a program that, in the case of an eligible organization being damaged in a federally declared disaster, funds 75% of the gap between that organization's insurance payout and the reasonable cost of either repairing or replacing that organization's building. In our case, 75% of the gap between our insurance payout and replacement project budget would amount to an approximate $4.5 million grant from the FEMA Private Nonprofit Assistance Program. This leaves East End UMC needing to contribute approximately $1.5 million in additional capital funds to fully fund our building project. And we are currently conducting a capital campaign which we have named the Hope on Holly campaign, where we have a goal of raising a minimum of $1 million as a church to go towards funding the project. Now that we have discussed the nature of what we're proposing to build and how we are proposing to fund it, here is some information on the next steps in the rebuild project, when we may be able to break ground on the project, and when we may be able to complete the building project and come back to our home on top of the hill.
Hi, I'm Steve Rutland, the project manager with Cumming Corporation, and I'm here to talk to you about some upcoming schedule items. Soon we will be in a position to release the architect to begin the design development phase. That's the phase where we will start putting meat on the bones of the design. They will hone in on the final footprint of the building, further refine the floor plans, further develop the building elevations, and then they will take that package back to the Historic Commission for approval on the general direction of the design. Historic wants to make sure that we are in keeping with the feel of the neighborhood and that we haven't really strayed from that. So we'll get that confirmation. We'll also concurrently work on a package for the salvage, abatement, and demolition of the existing building. That should be about a 3-week process, followed by about 3 weeks of procurement, and then we'll have about 2 weeks for salvage, a month for abatement, and about a month for demolition. So all told, about a 4-month process that should wrap up around the beginning of the year. Design development will then continue through the month of January, early February, and then we will begin development of our initial guaranteed maximum price. So the contractor will put the drawings, which will include a few early release packages for site work, underground utilities, foundations, and steel. Those will be final bid packages for procurement. We will also have some site permitting in that package, and that permitting process will run parallel to development of the guaranteed maximum price. So in April, hopefully we will have a guaranteed maximum price that is acceptable to the church and all of the folks participating in the financing, and we'll be in a position to start construction come spring. If all proceeds according to plan, the construction of the building is about 14 months, and we should be completed in June of 2023.
Hi, I'm Tracy Ford. I'm a principal at EOE Architects. Our office is here in East Nashville, and I actually live in East Nashville. We've been honored to be a part of the East End United Methodist team to really think about what the church is going to be now that the March 2020 tornado has happened, and exactly what the design will be. We spent quite a bit of time programming, quite a bit of time interviewing over 100 of the congregants, working with the church committee to really understand the needs and the goals of what the church needs to be in its next vision. I'm here to present a little bit of a sneak peek of some of our very, very, very early conceptual ideas as to what the church will be. Back in March, We were working through design concepts building upon our master plan that we developed last year. And as we were looking at them, we spent quite a bit of time looking at the existing building in its current condition. Through a lot of cost estimating, working with our structural engineers and our contractor, we discovered that the current building really wasn't able to be restored. So we had the opportunity to think about what pieces of the church could be reused and how that design could be reflected to actually improve upon what was originally there. The original church, I know everyone's familiar with it, beautiful, beautiful church. The sanctuary is gorgeous in its height. The church on the hill on Holly Street. However, it's not really terribly accessible. It's not really terribly intuitive as to where the front door is. We found out through a series of interviews and actually experiencing the facility that there were a lot of things that weren't working well that now we had the opportunity to address, where we could make the church certainly more functional, more part of the community, and yet still in respect and honor the architectural language that was there back before its original kind of look and feel, but actually reconfiguring in a way to make it more accessible and open to the community. Back behind me is some very early conceptual ideas. These will change and evolve over time, but we wanted to give you an update as to where we are right now. There's a few floor plans that walk through quite similar in square footage to what you have right now, but we're proposing to reconfigure that space. The existing space as it was, or as it is currently on the site, is a lot of a series of smaller spaces that are inaccessible over a series of quite a few levels. I think there's probably 6 different levels, and there's no elevator in the building right now. So we're proposing to compress that down to 3 levels and actually add a very large great hall at the back of the sanctuary. With the new sanctuary configuration, we're proposing to take the entire building and its gable at the front and actually lower, keeping the same proportions of the current building, but making it more accessible, where you can actually park on 13th, you can park on Holly, and actually in a wheelchair, or if you're disabled, be able to come into the building directly into the building without stairs or any sort of encumbrance. So one of the major design goals was to address functionality and accessibility, but also still maintain the look and feel and the relationship of the church to the hill and its prominence on the site. We are proposing to lower some of the finished floors and to actually take down some of the hills, but still keep the relationship, what we call the general massing of the building, very similar to what's there before, so that it looks and feels in presence very similar. It fits in with the community. The setbacks are still the same. The way that it addresses each of the major streets, Holly and 13th, the way the parking lot works will be very similar to what was there before, but however, it will be much more functional. We're also proposing to have entrances, very, very clear entrances and outdoor spaces along 13th, actually along all of the edges, that are really address the community and the church's ethos, to have wide open doors, to connect to the community, to be able to see what's going on. That was a goal, and we really feel that this concept accomplishes that, meeting all the functional things, but at the same time, it really fits in with the East Nashville ethos, and it fits into how the church looked before very similarly, and it also fits into the goal of being tied to the community. Another one of the design aspects that's really important to the church is the tower. Unfortunately, it was 100% destroyed. However, we are going to be working with the church committee and the congregation to design a tower that may be added over time. It will be designed now. Hopefully it'll be there on day 1, but we are looking to do a masonry style tower that is built of today, but it honors what was there, perhaps has a note to what was there originally. So we're really looking forward to diving into that design concept to really understand how a tower would work at the front of the building. So the question is, where are we in the design process? This is a very early concept. We are looking to work with the committee in order to put what we call more meat on the bones. This is a big idea. It will, as it evolves, we will spend time working with several different committees within the church, whether that be the chancel committee, the worship committee, the children's committee, to really understand and fine-tune the interior as well as the exterior of the building. So over the next couple of months, it'll really start to sharpen, and you'll really start to see see it come to life and really understand where the materials are going, how the stained glass is being reused, all of those details over the next 2 or 3 months. We will be putting that together with the congregation, taking all those steps along the way, taking you with us as we design the new building of what Easton United Methodist Church is going to look like in 2022.
We hope that this video has answered many of the questions and curiosities you may have about the state of our proposed project. The East End UMC Building Committee wants to get this project right, and your feedback and questions are extremely important to us. Please contact us at eastendrebuilding@gmail.com with any questions, concerns, or feedback. After a long season of hurt and loss at East End UMC, we are excited as we begin to anticipate a new season of building, healing, and hoping as we get closer to putting our beacon of God's love back on top of its hill in East Nashville. Thank you.